I lived in a fortress of glass and steel, a place where the only emotion allowed was silence. My husband Daniel was the undisputed master of this silent world. His wealth was staggering, but his obsession with security was suffocating. Every window had a triple alarm. Every conversation was clipped and precise. My entire life was governed by his rigid schedule and his relentless pursuit of flawless order. I was Anya, the perfect wife, suffocating slowly inside a breathtakingly expensive museum. I thought Daniel was simply an arrogant man, consumed by control and his own power. He rarely even looked at me. His eyes were always glued to his encrypted screens and security feeds. His kisses were routine, his touch measured. I felt like just another one of his valuable, fragile assets, something to be maintained and protected, but never truly seen. After 4 years of this, I was desperate for something real, something messy, something that breathed. And that's how I found Leo. Leo was a freelance architect who believed buildings should flow like poetry. We met at a charity benefit I organized, a benefit Daniel had insisted I host to maintain our social profile. Leo saw the yearning in my eyes that Daniel never did. He spoke to me about color and light and freedom. With Leo and stolen afternoons spent in cheap, vibrant cafes, I laughed so hard my throat ached. He was my escape, my true north, my necessary rebellion against Daniel's oppressive perfection. Our affair was passionate and careless, a bright, reckless fire I felt utterly entitled to start. I thought I was so clever. I thought Daniel, the master of order, was too preoccupied with his empire to notice the small cracks appearing in my facade. He never once accused me. He never even seemed suspicious. Instead, he just grew colder, more withdrawn. He dedicated all his energy to a private, sealed room on the top floor, a place he called the command center. He was in there for 18 hours a day, refusing to let even his closest assistants enter. When he was on the phone, his voice was strained, and I'd overhear him arguing in urgent, low tones about exposure and containment. But then the unusual things began. First, his health. He started wearing these heavy, expensive bandages on his forearms, which he just dismissed as a small accident in the gym. Then came the corporate shockwaves. Daniel, the man known for his invincible Midas touch, began losing key ventures. Massive, public financial failures that no one could explain. The whispers started all over the city. Daniel Sterling was overextended. He was crumbling under pressure. He was losing his mind. He was destroying his own flawless reputation. I saw it as my chance. I thought his empire was collapsing and my quiet freedom was finally in sight. The final straw came one evening when I found him in the hall, wiping a thick streak of drying red liquid from the marble floor near the command center. He stood up stiffly, his eyes fierce and panicked. He told me it was wine, that he'd had a clumsy spill, but the smell was wrong. It was faintly metallic and sharp, like iodine and copper. It was clear he was hiding something terrifying, something he was fighting all on his own. That night, I made a decision. I would leave with Leo the next morning, but first, I had to know. I had to understand the source of his destructive obsession. I used an old maintenance key ID found in a discarded uniform months ago and slipped into the command center. It wasn't an office. It was a war room. The walls were covered floor to ceiling, not with stock market feeds, but with satellite maps and complex, interlocking timelines. Every single screen was focused on 2 things. The first was me, my daily movements, my travel routes, and a chillingly precise digital record of every time a car followed me a little too closely or a package was delayed. The second focus was a single ominous logo, the symbol of a rival consortium, a group Daniel had supposedly defeated years ago. On the desk, a file lay open. The title read, Operation Lightning Rod. My hand shook as I read the first paragraph. After Daniel and I married, he discovered that my family's financial collapse wasn't an accident. They were caught in the web of that ruthless consortium, a group known for its predatory practices. The moment Daniel paid off their debts, the consortium pivoted their revenge onto him. And they planned to strike at his life's weakest point, me. He couldn't use conventional security. The enemy was too powerful, too covert. He had to draw the danger away from me. He had to become the target himself. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. His constant security measures weren't to control me. They were the bare minimum to keep me alive. His coldness and distance were a deliberate act to make the enemy believe our marriage was a loveless farce, making me a less tempting target for emotional leverage. The bandages on his arms weren't from the gym. The file detailed multiple physical altercations with men who were attempting to breach the perimeter he had built around me. And the red liquid on the floor, it wasn't wine. The collapsing ventures, the public failures, the destroyed reputation, all of it was a meticulously planned sacrifice. He was deliberately tanking his own assets, making himself appear financially weak and mentally unstable, ensuring that the consortium focused all their attention, their surveillance, and their attacks entirely on his crumbling empire, leaving me unnoticed and safe. And then I saw it. On one of the smaller screens, a small video loop was running. It was a time-stamped feed from the garden perimeter, a quiet, grainy clip of me and Leo, laughing behind the lilac bushes. The clip was marked not with an error or a threat level, but with a single handwritten note taped to the screen. It said, "Let her have this one. Don't engage." He knew. He saw my escape. He saw my desperate search for warmth, and instead of stopping it, he protected it. He protected Leo. He protected my happiness. He used his last reserves of energy and focus not to fight me, but to fight for my right to be happy with another man. The cold, distant husband I thought was a monster was, in fact, the shield. He was the wall, the constant, suffering guardian who took every single blow intended for me. The guilt was a crushing weight. He had willingly destroyed his life and endured daily pain to ensure my safety and happiness, all while watching me betray him with the very freedom he bought me with his own blood. The perfection I hated was the only thing standing between me and real destruction. I didn't leave that night. I walked out of the command center, leaving the door slightly ajar, and I went to our bedroom. Daniel came in an hour later, looking devastated and exhausted, clearly ready to say goodbye without ever giving me the reason why. He didn't need to speak. I walked to him, wrapped my arms around him as tightly as I could, and pressed my face against his chest. I could feel the frantic, weak beat of his magnificent, broken heart. He tensed at first, then slowly, hesitantly, his arms came around me, holding me with the same fierce, protective strength he had used to fight the world for me. I didn't say the word Leo, I didn't say the word safety. I only held the man who was bleeding silently for me, realizing the only true control he ever wanted was the control to keep me safe. I knew then that the greatest love story of my life was the one I'd been too blind to see, a story written not in words, but in silence and sacrifice. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.